Trinity Tots. It's me, Pastor Ashley, and I'm so glad that you're with me for another lesson from God's Word about all the wonderful things that He has made. I brought with me today a big ball, and it has some very interesting shapes on it. Have you ever seen one of these before? This is called a globe. And it is a big ball that has a map of the whole world on it. And it spins around. And all the blue is water. And then all the colored shapes, those are places around the world, countries and continents. And those are all things that you'll learn about in school, but I thought it would be neat for us to have a look at one today. And I can show you on my globe. This is where we live. This is North America. This is Canada. This is Alberta. And there's Edmonton right there. So that's what a globe is for. It can show all different places that people live, but it can also give us an idea of what our planet looks like. Just last week, we celebrated a special day called Earth Day. And last week we were talking about getting outside and playing outside and seeing God's creation. So I thought I would share my globe with you today because God made everything in the world and it's His creation and He cares about it and He loves it. It reminded me of that song. Maybe you've sung this song before. He's got the whole world in His hands. And if you'd like to sing it with me, I thought I would just sing that little song here this morning. He's got the whole world in His hands. 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 That's an important thing for us to remember, that God made everything in creation and He loves it. And our memory verse has been 1 Timothy 4 verse 4. Everything God made is good. We'll talk about that again in a little bit. But over the last couple of lessons that we've had, we talked about how God made plants and animals and seasons and weather. So I have my board here this morning, and I'm gonna switch us around now so that you can see the board. And let's talk about all the things on planet Earth that God has made. We talked about how God made plants, and a tree is a plant. And I have a couple different kinds of trees to put on my board here today. I have palm trees. Those are coconuts because some of the trees and plants that God made give us food. And some have other things like flowers. I'll hold this up nice and close so you can see it. Can you see those flowers? Yeah, beautiful flowers. Last week when we were talking about springtime, we were talking about how the trees in our yards and on the street and the plants in our gardens they're going to get flowers pretty soon and leaves pretty soon because it's springtime. I have one more trees there. Those are great. God made plants and that's wonderful. Another thing that God made is water. You can see there's a little bit of water over here in my picture. And God made the land. But I thought I would bring with me today just this little bit of river to add to my scene here. Oh, I need both of my hands to get it on there. I wish that you were with me, that you could help me put these things onto my picture. But I'm glad that we can make the picture together at least, and you can watch. And God made fish to go in the water, so that's why I needed some water there. Can you see my fish? This is like a salmon or trout. And so he's gonna go in the water. And maybe some of you have fish at home, like goldfish or a betta fish in a fish tank. My son has goldfish in his fish tank. And there are other animals that live in water, like in the ocean. There's big whales and dolphins. We talked about that in our lessons before. And God made birds to go up in the sky. I'll show you that nice and close. Do you see the birds? Yeah, this is a little pair of birds. Maybe those are sparrows. And I have another bird here. Can you see that bird? Yeah, he's a pretty white bird. I think he's like a dove. And birds, they fly in the sky and they build nests in the trees, but they fly in the sky. And then God made animals. So I have a couple animals here to add to my picture. I have a lion. What's this kind of animal? I just about said it. Roof, roof. That's right, it's a dog. And a couple weeks ago, I showed to you my dog. Her name is Kiko. Here I have another animal. What's that animal? Yeah, that's a bear. And it's a baby bear, but you wouldn't want to get close to a baby bear if you saw a baby bear by himself, because right behind that baby bear would be the mama bear. So there's the mama bear to go with the baby bear. And they can go on a walk safe together, but you would want to stay away from them. You'd want to stay away from the lion, I think, too. And then I brought just a couple more animals. I'm going to move my flowers over. Look at these interesting animals. They've got really, really long necks. You can see those kinds of animals live in Africa, which we could find on that globe, the big round globe. Those are giraffes. So God made all kinds of things in creation. God's special creation is wonderful, and he loved it very much, but he had made all these wonderful things and it wasn't finished yet. That's a lot of things that God made, but it wasn't enough. God needed something more. He looked at everything he had made and he saw that it was good, and he knew he still had something special to create. God's special creation wasn't going to live in the water, though. It wasn't a fish. And God's special creation didn't live in the sky, didn't have wings like a bird. I'm wondering if you can help me guess what God's special creation was. I'm going to give you some clues. God's special creation had 2 legs. Do you have 2 legs? God's special creation had 2 arms. Do you have 2 arms? God's special creation had 2 eyes. Do you have 2 eyes? Good. God's special creation had 1 nose. Do you have 1 nose? Me too. God's special creation had 1 mouth. Do you have 1 mouth? Yeah. And lots of the animals, they have 1 nose and 1 mouth too. But it's not as special as yours, because God's special creation was also made to be able to think and to talk. And that's something that the animals couldn't do. Now, what do you think God's special creation was? Let's turn back to our board. God's special creation was a person. Oh, I gotta move my puppy dog. God's special creation was a person. Are you a person? Yes, you are. God's special creation was the very first man. His name was Adam. God gave Adam a very important job to do. He had to name all of the animals that walked on the ground and take care of all of the plants. But there was still a problem. Adam was lonely. He could be friends with the animals, but he couldn't talk to the animals. The animals couldn't really talk to him. He needed a helper. So God made someone else. I'm going to move my baby bear here so I have room for Eve. God made Eve. And now God was finished. He had made people. His special creation. And God saw that everything he had made was good. Isn't that wonderful that God made people? We are going to celebrate our scripture verse again, that everything that God made is good. That's 1 Timothy 4 verse 4. We've been holding our hands like this when we say 1 Timothy 4 verse 4 because it's to remind us that those words come from the Bible. So I'm going to say 1 Timothy 4 verse 4, and you can make a Bible open like a book like this with your hands. And we're going to do a couple other actions with our memory verse this morning, okay? You ready? Let's do it together. So the first action that we're going to do for our memory verse this morning is to flap our arms like a bird. God made birds that fly. God made fish that swim. Everything God created is good. 1 Timothy 4 verse 4. Adam and Eve, you and me, everything God created is good. 1 Timothy 4 verse 4. Here I have another picture of God's good creation. And let's play a little game. You can point out or touch on the screen when you are able to find the things that I ask you to look for in the picture. And let's remember that everything that God made is good. All right, you ready to go? All right, can you find in our picture of everything God created is good, can you find a zebra? Did you find it? Excellent. Can you find in my picture of everything God created is good, can you find some fish in the water? Excellent. Can you find Adam and Eve? God made people, and that's wonderful. Can you find some fruit on a tree? Can you find a white rabbit? Excellent. There are so many great things in this picture that God created, and it helps us to remember that everything God created is good. Here's just a couple other activities that you can do to celebrate that God made people. If your mom and dad have magazines or newspapers that you can look at, you're going to want to look at a magazine and have a marker. Maybe you don't have a permanent marker like mine, and that's okay. But what you want to do is look through the magazine, and when you find pictures of people, you can take your marker and you can circle the people or put a heart around the people to show that God made people. People are special, and everything that God created is good. It's also interesting to see pictures of people doing interesting things. Look, this man is swimming under the water. Another activity that we can do, you'll need to have a piece of paper, and I have my paper put up here on the board, so I'm just gonna move the camera a little bit so you can see that. I have my paper up here on the board, and you're also going to need some crayons. Look at all the crayons I have full of colors. Maybe you can use your favorite colors. And another thing you're gonna need is a mirror. Do you have a mirror like this? So a mirror can be used to see your face. Can you see how you can see my face here and my face here? So you're gonna wanna look at your face to help you draw yourself as a person on our paper. So I'm gonna look at myself, and I'm gonna say I have a pretty round head. So I'm gonna draw, there's my head. And I have kind of curly hair. So maybe I would use Actually, I like the color that I have in my hand. It's not too different from my hair. So I'm gonna make some curly hair. And this is to remind me that God made me and that everything God created is good. And I have blue eyes. So I'm gonna go ahead and put my blue eyes on there. And you're gonna look in the mirror and you're gonna see what color of eyes did God give you? What kind of hair did God give you? Oh, that eye's kind of getting a little bit wonky. That's okay. And I'm gonna put a big smile on my face because everything God created is good. And I'm gonna need a little nose too. And so your picture is gonna look different than mine because you look different than me. And you don't have to just draw a picture of yourself. You could look at the people in your family. Oh, I don't know if you can see my picture too well. I'll bring it nice and close so you can see it. There. Does that look anything like me? I need some eyebrows, I think, still. But maybe you want to draw a picture of the people in your family that you are with. I know right now a lot of us are missing lots of special people that are special to us because we can't really visit them like we usually like to. And that's okay. That's something that we can talk to God about. And when we feel sad about that, God can comfort us about that. And we can always go to our family members for nice hugs when we need them. And it's good for us to remember that people are special to us and people are special to God because everything that God created is good and God created people. So that's all the time that we have for today. I hope that you have fun with some of these activities and that you get a chance to thank God for making people. They are God's special creation. You are God's special creation because you are a people, a person that God created, and everything God created is good. I hope that you remember what it means to thank God that He has the whole world in His hands no matter what, and that everything He created is good. I will see you all again next Monday at 11 o'clock. And if you can't watch it at the time that it comes on, that's okay. Those videos will last forever so you can see them anytime that it does work for you. And I pray you have a wonderful day, Trinity Tots, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye, everybody.